So good evening, everyone. Welcome to San Ramon User Group meeting for November month. And we are so excited and honored to welcome Stephen to our user group today. So the agenda for our meeting today is a demo on how to harness the power of formulas to make better screen flows and automation. So before we move ahead, let us recap some of the latest in our ecosystem. I must be aware, Salesforce certification days are on, and it's like $140 off voucher code for attending free half-day sessions on different streams of Salesforce, like admin, developer, marketing. I will share the link. And I recently revisited w3schools.com for JSON, HTML, and CSS. I saw a lot of internship season is on, and a lot of internship opportunities were cited in the social. And the last day to submit the session idea for Trailblazer DX24 is on December 1. So myself included, I need to submit a couple more topics. So please give it a try. I will share some links of our YouTube channel and the community meetings which are upcoming, and the calendar webinars, events that are upcoming. I'll share the links. And as some people have shared, we have the annual holiday coming up in San Francisco. So if you can, like there's people in Napa and Bay Area, try and attend that one. Should be good. So we thank you for joining us today, and we appreciate your participation and support. I am Shiba Tukral. I'm co-founder and solution architect of CFO Squared and Kind Cause. I've been the community leader of the San Ramon Salesforce Admin User Group since January 2020. I am 3 times a Dreamforce speaker, 1 time TDX panelist, active community member, and a participant. I have 14 certifications, 17 super badges, and I'm All-Star Ranger. And I have a co-leader, Krish Tukral. Krish, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Krish. I'm a Salesforce developer for NPR, a National Public Radio, 5-time certified Dreamforce speaker, also spoke at Tahoe Dreamin'. And I guess that's just a little bit about me, co-leader of San Ramon User Group.
And this was a new way of creating QR codes, which Krish discovered. And if you scan those codes, you can go to my profile, Krish's profile, and then this Kindex, which some of our community members have built together, a documentation for nonprofits. So this session is being recorded, and mute your mics unless to ask a question. Post your questions in the chat. Participate and network. If you were impressed by a certain aspect, take a screenshot, share it in the Twitter, encourage people to join or at least view our recording so they can learn as well, using the @SanRamon SFDC handle, and LinkedIn, tag hashtag SanRamon SFDC. And poll time. Let's just have some interactivity. We have an icebreaker question. I'm launching it. Can you respond, Silver Play? There are 4 questions. I don't see yet. Anybody started? Krish, you can see it, right?
I can see it.
Okay. Encourage everyone to participate.
Coming in now, looks like.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Tickling in. Four questions, very short and quick. We have 23 of 33. Give chance to everyone to participate. I'll stop when it becomes 30. Because one is me, one is Stephen, and Krish. All right. Okay. Now I'm ending the poll. So can you see the results? So most people, 65% have some confidence with formulas. 23% are confident.
Can't see the results.
You don't see it?
No.
Oh, 1 second. Thanks for saying that. Do you see now?
Yep. Good.
Oh, all right. So 23% are confident. Okay, great. And experience with screen flows, we have 53% who have built screen flows for the job. Wow, that's great. And only in Trailhead is 40%. Favorite type of flow, most people like record triggered. And 37% like screen flow. And why do they like the flow they like? Is because I'm trying to get runs in the background. Which one? Anonymous helps to get user input and automate it. That must be screen flow, right? Birthday email flow must be record triggered. Salesforce flows are capable as low coding technique for resolving day-to-day challenges. Quick to build, some action based on activity. I've worked with the most. Okay. Guided user journey must be screen flow and write code for automation backend. All right. I think we got good number of answers and got to know a bit about the audience level. Next up. We've been active since 2020, January 2020, and these are some of our screenshots. And without much ado, let's give it over to Stephen for the demo.
All right, thank you. Sorry, give me 1 minute. I lost the share screen. Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming along, spending your, what are you up to, Wednesday afternoon, evening with me. So yeah, we'll run through, I guess just a way to make your screen flows a little bit better. So like obviously flows are pretty cool, like very declarative, really great skill to learn, like for all the admins out there or technical consultants, solution engineers, whatever your title is. And then sort of that next step there is when you start understanding formulas as well, and then how you can use them together. And so we'll go through like an example today, and hopefully it looks like most of you have got sort of a bit of confidence. There's a few people who this might be a little advanced for, but I'll try and like drop some hints along the way. But I think most people should be okay with kind of the goal here. I've tried to keep it very generic, so just because orgs are so custom. So we'll just like stick with the standard opportunity, and then obviously, hopefully you can adjust this for your workplace. So me, yeah, I work at Blue Engine Solutions, and I recently started my own company in Australia, but I just got the one client, and that's plenty for now. I used to be a physiotherapist, so working in healthcare. I saw someone in the chat was saying they're from healthcare as well, so you can do it. And yeah, I answer questions in the Trailblazer community sometimes as well. And yeah, I met Sheba and Krish at Tahoe Dreaming earlier this year. So that was pretty fun. So good to see you both again. So the agenda, just some like general formula tips. So not necessarily just about screen flows, but more use case. And then I'll show you what we build, because sometimes I find it's a little bit easier to kind of see the end product first, and then you can like reverse engineer. It's like, okay, Stephen did all of this, then how would I do it? And then that's basically what we'll try and do then. So build through. So that's going to be the bulk of this session. And then, yes, there's an ask us anything. So at the end, if there's any other questions, queries, we can leave a bit of time for that. So general tips. I really encourage you to capitalize your functions. So your functions are like your if, case, and, today, things like that. It just makes it, yeah, a little bit easier to see, you know, what's a function versus what's your field or something else. Where you can try and write on multiple lines, use indentation or spacing. Just for me, yeah, I find it a lot easier if I've got something like an and statement or an or statement with, you know, 1, 2, 3, like multiple conditions, if that's all split up across multiple lines rather than having one giant long run-on sentence. So typically that'll help. And then last one, which not everyone's aware of. So there is a way to include inline commenting inside your formulas. So sometimes your formulas will be pretty simple and you won't necessarily need this. You can just use the description field. But once you start getting a bit more confident building bigger things, the syntax is a forward slash, then a star. Then you can start writing what your comment is. So, you know, why you're referencing this field or why you're choosing this discount percentage, whatever it is. And then you close out the comment with a star and a slash. And so outside of screen flows, so if you're building formulas like formula fields or validation rules, you might want to consider using an extension. So you can use, like I typically use a Chrome extension called Better Salesforce Formula Editor and AI Agent. And that just gives you kind of like a more like code, like I kind of view where you got like the black screen, you can start typing out a field name and then it'll like generate the rest of it or give you suggestions of what it could be. You can do indentations and things a bit easier. And then organizer, which is quite popular as well, has a lot of the same functionality as well. I think it just doesn't have the AI agent if you don't need that. These two do clash with each other though. So if you use organizer, you just have to keep using organizer. But if you don't, then you can try out either one. Organizer's got a lot more other functionalities, whereas this is just a formula extension. So yeah, let's have a look at the renewal opportunity. So basically what we're trying to do is allow users to quickly create a new opportunity. So a renewal with a lot of the details filled in. And so the reason we want to do this is so we save the users time. So they're not having to type everything or click buttons, which are unnecessary. They can get, like you as the admin are going to start getting better quality data in the records. So you know, when you run reports, they're actually going to make sense because fields will be filled in correctly. You can check that. And then as well, you're trying to predict errors which might happen and prevent them from happening. So think, you know, are they going to put the wrong close date in? You know, this is actually due next quarter, but they've just left it as today's date or something. Or if you're going to get like an error on your create element because you've got too many characters somewhere like that. So we'll find some ways to hopefully avoid what that looks like. Everyone going okay for pace so far? Can understand my accent. It's all right, hopefully.
I can understand your accent.
That's good. Yeah. So yeah, I've just got on just the in my dev org, so just the standard Edge installation. You'll probably have something similar in your playground or dev org. And so I've created a screen flow, which I'm just going to launch from an action button. So I've created, so you can do this, or if you want, you can just put the screen flow directly on the page. But once again, you probably don't need it taking up space all the time. And so what we're trying to do, so we've got this opportunity, it's worth $50,000. And then when we click this button, what we're trying to generate is basically the new name. So we're going to indicate that it's a renewal. We're going to say, you know, I created the renewal on today's date. And then we'll just keep the existing name, so Edge installation. The stage, we're going to default to prospecting, which is the first stage in here. But if they wanted to, they could, you know, skip a level if they needed to. And then the close date. So we're going to default this to 3 months from now. So once again, you might be in a higher turnover org where you have renewals monthly, or might be once a year, something like that. But just whatever it happens to be. So 3 months on the close date, and then the amount, we're trying to increase this by 3% is what we're doing here. And then so the idea being, they click one button. 4 of these fields are hopefully like what they need or very close, or if they say, actually like we just want to adjust that so they are all editable, like visible for them. And Feb 29. Okay, it's a Thursday. Let's push it out to Friday. Just like very simple changes. Then when we create the opportunity, we're going to get a little sort of success screen, just letting the person know what happened. So you've created the opportunity. This is its name, the amount, which we updated, the close date, and we'll create a little hyperlink. So you can click on that and you'll go straight to the newly created opportunity. All right, so this is the new opportunity. And then once we've created this, I've also added in a little extra, hopefully we have time for this. So a task just to follow up on the new opportunity. And so for this, what I've said is I want the task to be 3 days from now, but if it falls on a weekend, then it should be the next Monday. And so today's Wednesday night, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday would be 3 days from now. And then so it's not gonna be December 2. We've got a formula to push this out to the next Monday, which would be December 4. So that's what we're hoping to build. So does anyone want to see anything again? Anyone got any questions or completely confused? Nice quiet group. Okay. So the first bit, what we'll work on, so head to Flow Builder, and then we're gonna try and just, try not to move that. We'll create, you see that first screen, and then we're gonna create a default, like a default naming convention for the opportunity. So just try and work on this first bit for now, where we're gonna prepend the word renewal to the opportunity name. So just get that working. So first step is just to get the name to come up with renewal-edge installation or whatever opportunity you launch from. And then we're going to have renewal and include today's date. So renewal, November 29, 2023.
I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
So in some of the companies I've worked for, there's usually like I don't know if it's a separate object, but there's like some sort of linkage to the contract, because the contract will have like the expiration date. So does this I guess Flow take into account or like bring in like the contract data or talk to
You could. What I've built doesn't. It is a good point. Yeah, I guess kind of it's a little bit hard to know like who your audience will be, and then so like more generic, like I've tried to keep it just a kind of more apparent standard objects. So like for the people who don't know about contract or invoices or like how that's all connected, so we're just doing opportunity and tasks, and obviously opportunities related to the account as well. But yeah, you could add in complexity if you needed to look up to make sure the opportunity close date isn't after the contract expiration date. You could build a whole bunch of cool stuff there. But
yeah, because some of the companies that I've worked for, like they automatically create the renewal opportunity based on the whenever the contract is gonna, I guess, end. So it will automatically generate based on that versus the original opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, and so I've got like in the questions we asked, so one of them was who likes scheduled flows, and so like that's a use case for a scheduled flow, and so I built that for one of my clients where we monitor. So they don't use contract object, it's a different one, but yeah, we monitor that date, and then like a month before it's going to expire, then we create this opportunity in the task like, hey, follow up with the client before they go with a different vendor. So
okay, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, go along. Feel free to ask any thing in the chat, and I'll try and jump in. But anyone completely lost here, or you can type in chat if you don't want to speak out loud. So I'll put in chat as well the help article for all the formula operators and functions. So I reference this very frequently because there's too many to memorize. So you can see, like, if you're scrolling through here, just thinking about what we may or may not need as you go along. Good page to bookmark. So has everyone managed to make a screen so far and add a text component? And then if you have done this, if anyone's brave enough, if you want to pop what your formula is into the chat as well, we can try a couple different ones together. You can use this default value in your text component to create a resource. And then a formula field. The four naming conventions kind of stick with what happens in your org. I like to, for my formulas, like prepend with FOR, and then I like to do undercases between words. You see other people will do to like camel case, so they'll do it something like that. Other people just do an F for formula, F underscore you'll see sometimes, but yeah, just kind of find something that works for you and be consistent with it. Returning text here. Has anyone got anything or realized the step which we need to do before we can even start this? One message. Create a formula. Yeah. So before like we can make this formula, if you remember what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the existing opportunities name. So we need a way to reference that for the field name. And so on a record triggered flow, you'd already have that record variable where you could access everything. But for a screen flow, you need to be able to get that record's information somehow. And then so you'll see like I can get it without using a get records element at all. And so the way you do that is you create a new resource and you want to create a variable. And API name needs to be record ID with a capital I. So this is case sensitive. So exactly like that. And then, yeah, mine's going to error out because it exists. And then for the data type, here you want to select record. And then this is where you pick your object. So we're launching this from the opportunity object. They're going to be opportunity, and we want to make this available for input. And so what this means is when we're on the opportunity page, the screen flow can get all of this information related to this record ID coming in. So this is the very first thing you'll need to do before we can build the formula. So this is the one I made before. This what it'll look like after you've saved. So now, once that's built, if anyone wants to put their formula in the chat before we look at what I came up with. Yeah, so that's pretty good, Archana. So if you're using the install resource, you'll get all the, I'm trying to say like the correct syntax that you need. So then you can like start typing record to find that record ID variable we created. You can click on that, and then we can find the name. And then we'll get that in with the curly brackets and the exclamation mark, how it needs to be, so we can check that. That's pretty good. So let's go done. Then, yeah, so I've got my default value of this one I've just created. And then we can try a debug. And then, so the other advantage, Stephanie, so you're saying like without a get records, the other cool thing about creating a record variable instead of a text variable is now I can search opportunities by their name rather than by their ID number. So it's a lot easier from that point. So when we run this, now we see this is the name that's coming up. So that's the first bit. And then the second part we're trying to do is we want to include today's date. So there's two ways you can do this. So have a go at that. And then once someone thinks they've got the answer, if you want to pop it in chat for me. That was quick. Get rid of that. Cool. So this is the one from the chat. So let's check the syntax. So a couple things going on here, which I just want to comment on. So I'll try and zoom in for you. I know this is hard to read. So for concatenation, concat, so there's two ways to do that. So you can do either a single ampersand or a plus sign. So the first time I did it, I showed you with an ampersand, but plus will work just as well. And so the syntax here is valid. There's a couple things we could, I think we should improve those. So like I was saying before, the function, so text is capitalized, which is good. Today, ideally, we want to do the same thing there. And so that's a function that will return the current date. So that's how we like it. Like lowercase will work, but I just find this is a little bit easier. The other way, instead of having today, is you can insert a resource of the flow. I'll have to type this. I'm so zoomed in. flow, and then we can use the current date. So that'll be the date the flow ran, which will also return today. So one's not necessarily better than the other, just showing you there's a couple ways to do it. And then what's clever here as well, which will trick out a lot of people, is date comes as a date format, and we're trying to put information into a text field. So you would get an error if you didn't use the text function to convert to today. So that's why we're putting this in here. And Stephanie said maybe another space. So we could do that as well. And then we could also, like, we don't need this bit here because we could just put a space at the end of renewal. And if you wanted the hyphen or the dash as well, you could just put that all in there. And then good idea, we'll add a space, maybe another dash, and then another plus to join it all. And so we'll check that, done. Save, and we'll debug again. So Burlington, looking pretty schmick. So that's parts 1, 2, or 1 and 2 done. And then so the next bit is we don't want to bring over too many characters. So what you might have is an opportunity which is already at the maximum length of the name. And now we're trying to add the word renewal and today's date. So we're adding, another dozen characters in front. And if we then try and create that name, like Salesforce is going to error out. And then so if you can here, just try and find a way where we can get the first certain number of characters from the existing opportunity's name. And then so just say we want to grab, let's look in the back end, how many characters object's name can be in length. And then so we want to basically grab that many minus however many characters the words renewal, space, dash, space, and today's date are. So just call that like 20 characters for simplifying. So you can see for an opportunity name, it can only be 120 characters long. So we don't want to go over that length. Any ideas in the crowd for this one? Yeah, validate input. So that's going to be step 4. So beforehand though, because if we can avoid the person even getting the error message from the validate, that's even better. So there's a function called left. So if we insert this, so what left takes is it takes your text and then how many characters you want from that text from the left. So here I'm saying from the record ID name, so from the opportunity name, I want the first 95 characters from the left, because then by the time I add on renewal and text for today's date, I'm going to be under that 120 without going over. Any questions on that one? Cool. And then so the next step on that is just because you only brought over the first 95 characters and you gave them the opportunity name, there's still a chance that the user might then, type in something extra. You see all sorts of things once you've been on this for a little while. And so that's where, validate input comes in. And then so there's this option on the right here where you can basically make a validation rule. And so, you want to create a good error message. So name must be less than 120 characters. And then you want to try and create a formula for this. So validation rules, you probably built them in like object manager before. And when you build an object manager, you build the validation rule to return the error. And then in ScreenFlows, it's the exact opposite. So you want to build a validation rule, which is what the user should be doing. So it's, you got to flick that switch going on here. So what I'm using here is the length function. So len for length. And then you insert the like the field you're talking about. So I named this like component opportunity name. So I'm saying the length of the opportunity name must be less than or equal to 120 characters. And then I know that I'll be able to insert that record into Salesforce afterwards. So quite a few different formulas, different functions and things we needed. And you thought, you know, you could just drop a text component on the screen and people would be done with it. But this is like all things which will, you know, just make the user experience a little bit better. You know, they'll get the error within the screen or like the information in the screen rather than like clicking create opportunity, getting that big, an error occurred, unhandled fault, anything like that. So the next one, stage, this doesn't have a formula involved at all. So you can just add a pick list in there. And then close date again is where we're going to use another formula to try and create that, excuse me, that default date of 3 months from today. So have a go at that. And then once again, in the chat, when someone's got an idea, drop something in. Can we use fields from the components? You mean in the validation rule? Yeah.
No, on your left, if you see near ready screen, like left components, and then if you, there is a fields on top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can utilize that too, so that we don't have to create the pick list value and store variables and then use resource.
Yeah, yeah, it is a way you can do it. Yeah, you just need to create the record variable, because if I do this with the record ID, if I put the stage in here,
yeah,
I'll show you what happens. So the top one was my pick list. And so you see, I could default this that I wanted to be prospecting. And this one is just going to come through as what the opportunity already was on proposal price quote. And so normally from a renewal, you'll probably be coming from something close one. And then you don't want to create a renewal opportunity in close one. So you'll want a way to set that default value. And then if, yeah, we're using this fields option, you don't have the ability to set default values at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So there is a way around that where you could like bring it in. You could use an assignment element for your screen element and things. But I think sometimes that kind of just becomes more complicated than it's worth. So like there is a time and a place for these, but typically not. Like you'd create a brand new opportunity variable. But if you ever want defaults, yeah, I find formulas often a little bit simpler. Okay, so we got today plus 90. So is 90 days 3 months from now? I'm not convinced. It's close. So for this one, there's, once again, this is where you can like have a little look through what formulas might be useful. So we've got this add months one. And then so this is where you can quite easily add. So add months, add your date field, and then add the number. And you can do this in reverse as well. So you can put a negative number. So if you wanted to find something 3 months ago, 6 months ago, -3, -6. And so to get exactly 3 months. So the advantage of add months is, you know, if you want something to always be on the 1st of the month, like you can always get it to the 1st easily, or if it's on the last day. So if you're on January 31 and you said add month 1, like this year it would have returned the 28th of February, but next year it'll return 29th of February because it's a leap year. So then it'll go from last day to last day as well. So pretty cool feature. So my formula for that, I just called it formula close date. I'll show you what that looks like in here. So add months, and then off today's date, we said 3 months from today. So we're using that today function again, and then comma 3. And you need to be returning a date data type. And then, so for this as well, we're gonna try and add in a couple of validation rules. So the close date that we're putting in, basically it shouldn't be in the past, and we don't want it to be more than 1 year from today. So they're the 2 bits of information we want to check. Oh, sorry, I missed your one, Stephanie. Does the links function display anything for the user to know? No, not really. So that's why you, when you write your validation rules, you want to have a good error message. And so that's where you can tell them what they need to know.
Thanks, I missed that part.
So again, we'll create a validation rule on close date. I'll try and zoom in a little. I don't know if that's better. Squishes my whole screen. So yeah, date must be in the future and less than 1 year. And so again, in screen flows, we want to write the rule for like what a good close date would be. So we're going to reference this close date field. We're going to use the AND function because we're testing 2 things now. So we can list these. And so we want to say, and the close date is greater than today. And the close date is less than add months from today 12. If you want, you could have this, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to as well. So that's how we're handling that information. Okay, done. So this is probably a good point in your orgs where you can test out a couple of these things to see if your validation rules are working as expected. So I'll just copy this text out a whole bunch of times. And then for the close date, I'm going to put it, 2027 or something. Let's try and create and see what happens. So we're getting a character error here, which is good because I made a big mess. Then let's try again. So, sorry, the date changed. 2021. Let's try this. All right, so date must be in future and less than 1 year away. So that one worked. We changed this to 2021. Same idea, so in the past now. Still getting an error message. Let's put this next week sometime. That should hopefully let me through. Great. Okay, and then last one we need is the amount. And so for this, we want it to be 3%. So do whatever you want, 1%, 3%, 5%, just some sort of way. So again, we can set a default value, coming through here. So this one, you're going to use the currency currency component from the side for your amount field. And then the formula we're using, so just basic math function. So we're getting the value of the original amount plus the amount multiplied by your percentage. So I did 0.3, but you could change that to 0.5 or whatever you wanted there. Check that. And then so data type, make sure you're returning the correct one there. So currency to currency, generally 2 decimal places is all you need. Done. People keeping up, or it's just a little bit hard to tell. Going okay for pace. Good pace, okay. And then, so for the amount field, so just a validation rule, you probably want to add in that things can't be negative. And then maybe you wanted to add in, if you're having issues with people are accidentally hitting the 0 too many times, you're getting billion-dollar deals when you're just a local mom and pop shop, then you might want to have like a maximum amount as well. But typically you just don't want people taking money out of the pipeline. And then so if it can't be negative, so we need to write that in our screen flow that the numbers should be positive or greater than 0. And yeah, there is a recording of this happening. So if we come into validate, so again, just a nice message for the person, amount should be positive, amount greater than 0. Okay, and then test that again, good idea. So if we make that -$5, then yeah, we're getting the error. So that's looking like that's working as well. If we make it +5, we should go through. So you probably won't have to create records or anything in your steps, but basically what you're wanting to look at is in the debug on the right here, just what the different values are at runtime. So seeing what's coming through, making sure you're getting your expected results. And then so if you're up to this point, good time to create the opportunity. Sorry, Jashiv, I just saw the time. Like, how are we going? Do you need me to wrap up like in the next minute or so, or can we go a little longer?
No, we are good on time.
Okay.
I kept it for 1 hour, so till 6 you can go on, and I think
so like from 5
even
to 6,
more than that if you have to.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was like 4:30 to 5:30.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, usually we just have like a welcome and networking for the first 30 minutes.
Gotcha.
Because it's hybrid, so in person people are settling in.
Easy. Okay. So for your create records, we'll be creating just the one opportunity is all we need. So use separate resources and literal values here. So you're creating an opportunity, and you just need to make sure you got something in all of the required fields. So for the account, it's going to be the same account as last time. So we can just do record ID account. So you're coming into record and then find the account ID. So you can do it that way. I had to have it before. Record. Or you can just directly reference this one as well. It'll be the same thing. The same at the end of the day. And then so the amount field, and so here, got the wrong one there. you want to be referencing your screen components, so not your formulas, because the formula fields we're creating were there to give you your default value. But if your user changes the default value, you need to make sure you're referencing the screen. So this is why like your naming conventions can become quite useful. So I was able to quickly tell that I'd accidentally put in the formula field because I know that my formulas are going to start FOR, whereas my screen components aren't going to have that at the front of them. So amount to amount, close date to close date, name to opportunity name. And then stage, if you made the pick list, you can reference stage, or if not, you can just, put in, prospecting or something for now if you didn't have that. Time, save. So at this point, if anyone wants to, or if you can all try and run it, and then just if anyone has any errors, let me know, and then we can try and troubleshoot that. And then we'll get to the real challenging formula for the final one. I'll take silence as everyone's having no issues. It's going okay. So you'll see how I've made mine coming through. So we're just getting the opportunity screen, and then we're automatically going create opportunity, like once they come through, and then we're creating this task here as well. And then it's all going to be related. And so on the task I mentioned earlier, so what we want to try and do is first up, have the due date of the task to be 3 days from today. And then the extension, so the real challenge, to try and figure this one out, I'll give you kind of 5 minutes or so, is how we can have it 3 days from today. Well, if 3 days from today is a weekend, so like right now, then we want it to instead go forward to the Monday. There's a few different ways to handle this. So usually the kind of cleaner, the simpler, the better. But yeah, just like first goal is just to try and get it working, and then we can try and make it pretty later on. And this is what the create record for the task should look like. Put a couple of handy links in the chat for you. Anyone brave enough to share what they've got or what they're trying to do? Doesn't matter if you're getting errors or anything. Can be good just like, if I can see what you built, we can kind of talk through maybe what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking of probably, I mean, I haven't built it yet. I'm thinking about probably you need a case statement where you have to calculate the days in a week. Like, if it is
Yeah.
either 6 or 7, then you have to push it to 1 the following week. But I'm trying to figure out how to write it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, have a look at the links I shared in the chat.
Okay.
Because that should help. So let's see what you're talking about here is this weekday function. And then so let me zoom in a little bit. But basically like weekday will return a number. And then so a 1 for Sunday, 2 for Monday,
Yep.
3 for Tuesday and things. And so that's definitely a good way to look at it. So depending on what weekday returns, then we want to add a different amount of days. So you could do this with an if statement as well, Chana. And so if you want to try and build that out, that'd be great, because then I'll show you, we can compare the if statement versus the case statement. And we can kind of see what's maybe easier to read or more efficient. Mod. So mod is the old school way of doing things. And so it will work, like there's a way to do it. It's going to be more complicated than it needs to be. And then so weekday is a newer function. So before weekday existed, you had to use mod. And so you'll probably like see if you're working in an older org, get a lot of this like 1900, 17, or like Unix, like epoch start of 1970, 11, and people will use that in different statements. But yeah, now that we got weekday, it's going to be a lot easier to read that, oh, 1 equals Sunday, rather than, oh, the case of the mod of my date minus the date on 1900, yeah, 1st of July, 1900, divided by 7, returns to 0 or 6. Pretty confusing. All right, anyone want to drop something in chat? Week, today. Yeah, so if we do weekday today plus 3, what else are you thinking with that? Because that'll tell you if 3 days from now, what date that is. So you'll be able to tell if, it's the Saturday or Sunday. But what we're trying to do is we want to set the activity date. Yeah. That's all right. Appreciate the involvement. So let's have a look at how I wrote it. So there's a couple ways you could do this. So basically what we're saying is we're going to get today's date, then we're going to add a certain amount of days onto that. And then so we're going to use a case statement. And then so the way case works is, so you have the case function, and then you have an expression. And then based on the expression, value 1 will return. And if value 1 returns, then you want to have result 1. And if value 2 returns, you want to do result 2. And you can do this as long as you want. And at the very end, you have an else result. So if all else fails, do this. So what we're looking at here, yeah, So then, yeah, that's pretty close to it as well. So here's a weekday today, or you could do flow current date instead of today. But so this is our expression. So saying, if I put today into the weekday, what number is going to return? And so because today is a Wednesday, we know that'll be 2 for Monday, 3 for Tuesday, 4 for Wednesday. And so if we go through my list, I put so 1, and then this is where, inline comments can be a little bit easier. So I just know 1 is equal to a Sunday because I wrote that in, so it's a bit easier. And if I come down to a 4, I know that that's going to be a Wednesday. And then so I want to add 5 days to that to get me to a Monday. But if my weekday returns the number 5, then I know that's a Thursday, so I need to add 4 to get to Monday. But otherwise, if it's a Sunday, I can add 3 days and get to Wednesday, or it's a Monday, I'll get to Thursday, so on, coming through. Check syntax. So does anyone see how we could make this even better? So basically what we're trying to look for here is a common pattern. And so you'll notice that the goal is so make it 3 days from today, unless it's going to be a weekend, then push it forward to the Monday. And so in this formula, if this is 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 6, 3, 7, 3, and we've got this else result, which is kind of your catch-all. And because if it's 1, 2, 3, 6, or 7, we're going to return 3. We don't actually need any of these lines at all. So we can just say, if it's a Wednesday, you need to add 5 days. If it's a Thursday, you need to add 4 days. But else, just return 3 days. And so we can make this a little bit shorter again. Any questions on this one? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
So because that formula was set for today, no, it doesn't change because I'm trying to understand the logic in the today. It's
Yeah.
understanding that you've set that on a Wednesday.
No. So today is just when the formula is being referenced.
Oh,
So
got it.
today happens to be a Wednesday, but if you're on this tomorrow, today will be Thursday. If you're on it on Sunday, then today will be a Sunday. Yeah.
That's why the Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to Sunday is assigned as a number.
Correct. Yeah. So that's just how weekday works, where you're just going to get somewhere between a 1 and a 7.
Yeah.
And so we're just saying weekday using today of when the flow is currently running, when it's being referenced, and then it'll spit back a number. And then we can, it's going to be basically we're only going to do one of 3 things. Either we're going to add 5 days to the number, 4 days to the number, or 3 days.
Got it. Thanks.
No
And how
problem.
does that work with if you have a holiday set?
Like a public holiday on Monday or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you're going to have an issue. Yeah. So yeah, that gets a lot trickier. And then this might be why, maybe you don't want Monday things. Maybe you want to push it out to Tuesday for this. But yeah, public holidays kind of cause problems with these things, make it a lot harder. But
Thanks.
just kind of get the brain ticking over what could be possible or ideas. Brilliant. And then so last thing we'll try and do now is the success screen. So we'll work through here. And then what did I say I wanted you to do? So we want to create a hyperlink that'll take you to the newly created opportunity. And then this next bit, much more important, is you want to create a hyperlink that wouldn't break if you went from sandbox to production. And then there's a new release update, I think, coming in May next year, where if you have hyperlinks that go across orgs. So like if you're directly referencing a production URL and you're in a sandbox, it's going to break, and vice versa. But custom metadata, that's one way to do it. Bit too advanced for what we need, but you definitely could handle it that way. But I'm lazy, so there's a much simpler way we can handle this. Has anyone created hyperlinks before to take you to a record?
I mean, if we have the get record element, we can get the record ID, but here we are not using the get record element.
Yeah, so because we're creating the opportunity, we don't actually need to get record at all, because we can just get the ID from the created record. Can directly reference that. The opportunity ID from created opportunity. I could get the task ID as well. Task ID from create task. So you can save yourself a DML statement there.
Yep. Okay. Then this will take them to the newly created record.
Yeah, that's what we're wanting to do. But how can we do that? What's the formula? So we got 3 people who said they've done it before. What formula did you use last time? Yeah, very cool. All right, you know the good way. Okay, dynamic. Just remember, there's I forget the name of the page, but you'll see a lot of people will create this like much longer, more cumbersome formula than they need. Anyway, we won't worry about that. So yeah, basically what we can do is just this / then a URL. So I'm just going to hover over the link, and if you can look in the bottom left of my screen, I know it's a bit hard to read, sorry, but so just in this bit where my mouse is, you can see that that's the URL that we're going to be going to. So it's going to be like my dev.org is trumbullsf2 dev develop lightning.force.com, and then that %7b is like the curly bracket equivalent. And so what your link URL is going to be is that create opportunity. So that's the opportunity ID. And then the / is just telling Salesforce to get all of this information. So the start of your URL. And so we're not hard coding, you know, that this is trumbullsf2.sandbox. So that when we then go into production and the start of the URL changes, it doesn't matter, because we haven't hard coded that. We're just saying, get me everything after the beginning, and then they create opportunity. So you can't, you know, search for create opportunity there. So typically what I'll do is, you know, in here, I'll use the insert resource. And I'll say, you know, get me the opportunity ID from create opportunity. I'll highlight all of that, do Control X to cut. And then when you want to use your new hyperlink, so you can just highlight the text you want to hyperlink, use the link button, and then / and then paste Control B, and you'll get that, the correct syntax. And then you got a beautiful hyperlink, which won't break across orgs. So no need for custom metadata for this use case. All right, that is it. All I got for you. So hopefully you learned a thing or two. I'll take a moment to sell out. So I do have a formula course. So if this is something you want to kind of get better at and you think I can teach you okay, then feel free to have a look. I've got like a discount code going for everyone here. So just use this code or this URL. This QR code should take you to the same thing as well. But otherwise, Shiba, I think you had something to finish off.
Oh, so one person is going to be the winner of the Salesforce Formulas course, Steven's course. So who has completed their admin certification in the last month? Anybody? Oh, Parul, you just completed it?
Yes,
Last month?
yes. November, I have it on LinkedIn. I can share my certificate.
It's okay, I'll trust you, don't worry.
I just send you a link on LinkedIn. You can see my post.
Yeah, I see, and that's fine. So yeah, so Steven, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Parul, and I will give you the code for you are the winner then. So
Thank you.
yeah, congratulations. And others can avail this discount code, and I'm also trying to brush up on formulas, so definitely take advantage of this.
Very cool. And then, yeah, I guess there's a bit of question time as well, if anyone had anything else.
Yeah, and ask Steven anything. Ask him anything regarding formulas or flows, and also his journey, right? How he became so skilled at flows and formulas. So what was your journey like?
That's a good question. I don't know. Too much time, and found it interesting. Yeah, I moved to America the start of 2022, and then I just had a number of months where I couldn't legally work because I didn't have a visa or anything. So I just had a lot of time to practice. So yeah, spent a lot of time in Trailhead and my dev org and doing different things to yeah, just find different use cases, different ideas. So I spent a lot of time in the Trailblazer community as well. So I'd like see what questions, what issues people are having, then I try and build it out of my own org and figure out what to do and get back to them. So it's being exposed to a heap of different business use cases. You're on mute, Shiva.
So how long have you been in Salesforce ecosystem?
So I got my admin cert mid 2021.
Oh.
But then yeah, I got my started working in an actual production org in May 2022.
Sorry, did I interrupt someone?
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask him if he has any specific trial mixes in his name under his belt on Trial8, like for people to go know.
Yeah, I made one a couple weeks ago, trying to find all the formula stuff. I'll pop the link in when I get it. Because yeah, it's like the reason I made the formula course, I made it just over a year ago now. I think it was October last year. Is because yeah, there wasn't really any. There's like 2 badges you could do on formulas, and both of them kind of just gave you all the answers. So there wasn't like a lot of practice, but it's a little bit better now. So this is the mix I've made. So now, yeah, there's actually a super badge now for formulas, which is really cool. And yeah, it's quite challenging. Like I was quite impressed with the level they expected of it. And I see a bunch of people asking for help in the community because it's a super badge, you can't help them. But it definitely stumps a few people. So, which is good that, you know, it's not just like copy paste. And
I tried that link, it's going to 404.
you need to be logged in get to a
Oh.
mix. Yeah,
Sounds
so
good.
try that.
So what's your favorite flow, Steven? I mean, screen, record trigger, schedule, or
That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I like scheduled or cool just because of like how much you can do because they bulkify automatically. So
Mm.
it can be good from that point of view, and just like having stuff running at night, and then you wake up and you've updated 10,000 records before you have your morning coffee. That can be kind of cool, but also yeah, great power, great responsibility. So you don't want to do the wrong thing. But yeah, record triggered's definitely the place to start, because you can build like some quite simple things which are quite useful. Like when the case is closed, send an email, and then just that little action, and that becomes automated. It saves your user like a heap of time. They're not going to forget accidentally, and you only need one or two elements to make that happen. And then when you get a little bit more confident, then you can start adding on more. Because ideally in this, for these create tasks, we'd add in fault paths, would be the next thing. But and then we can use a subflow to handle different errors if they happen. And that's like another thing which like I've done some talks on as well. Like Eric Miles got a really good presentation on fault paths. There's some Salesforce help articles now. They've got some stuff like last 6 months or so they wrote on how to use fault paths properly. So that's really good as well. But yeah, there's only so much time to show everything.
Yeah.
One last question. So, I mean, flows are great, like, when you work within the Salesforce but when it comes to Experience Builder, like, you place a flow in the Experience Builder for a guest user for like, create a lead or whatever the case may be. That's where, like, we face challenges, like, either it doesn't show up, it doesn't create a record, it doesn't shoot an email, like, do you have any guidance or advice on those, like, or do you have any course in Udemy, like, for Service Builder, like, when user plays flows and whatnot?
No, I don't, but you actually got Lori in here, and she's got a whole bunch
Yeah.
of cool stuff on.
I was going to say the same
on
thing.
experience set. So yeah, like I don't have a heap of experience. Like I built one where there's like a public facing flow. So if you drink beer and there's a beer you think I should drink, you can suggest a beer for me to drink through my flow on my site. So that's like publicly accessible for everyone. And then like for one client I did it, but they were all like logged in users. So like external users, but like not guest ones at all. And then they can do like file uploads and things there. But yeah, I don't have much more exposure than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because right now what we developed right now, like, we had the
started dabbling in consulting in 2019 and then became a full-time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to paste this link. We had a session with Ivan Ponter, and
Okay.
he did that use case. So I was just going to
Oh,
share
perfect.
that link. And of course, yeah, Laurie is another one has a lot of expertise in this area. So, but he did the identical use case of Experience Cloud, how to share flows with Experience and how to create leads and contacts.
Whatever we build today, right? If we have to place that flow in the Experience Builder, like, how do we auto populate this existing opportunity field? And right.
Oh, right.
Yeah, those are like kind of complicated when you place it in Experience Cloud.
Yeah, they would be. Yeah, you can't use the record ID so easily. Yeah.
I did something like that in a text template, in an email template. What I did was, instead of just the slash and then the record, whatever you call that merge field, what I did was copy the whole URL for a record page and then replace, instead of the actual ID of that record page, that's where I pulled in the record ID value. So
But
maybe
don't we have to have a, Salesforce Salesforce user, like, or can a guest user can click that link and view that record. You need to be.
I think it will depend if you give your guest user profile the create record permission.
Yeah. And probably like the org-wide sharing settings as well.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's like public read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If your guest user does not have access to any of the leads, the guest user won't be able to create one. So you'll have to give, and that so the guest user profile will be accessed from the experience builder. From there, you go to the profile and set the object access.
Yep.
But how do you like queue it as some? How do you segregate it? Make a list that these leads or these leads are coming from your Experience Cloud page. How do you queue it up so you can segregate it as?
I believe you can just have the another field for the source, but then once the lead created, you have to have a system default for who the record owner will be.
Yeah, you can have a source and or a hidden field kind of thing. So
yeah.
All right. Anything else? Well, I might head out as well.
Yeah. Last chance to ask. Else we can just.
When will be the next session?
We have monthly actually, but this is year end now, so probably going to be the last session for this year. We'll probably have a holiday party, which is going to be in person, but we also might have with Sunil, Emmanuel, and Krish. They may talk about that nonprofit documentation, the work they've been doing. So we may have an hour session on that next month, December.
Okay, so, yeah, we'll keep a session for 1 hour session, and after that we'll have holiday party. So people who are here, we can have a water party kind of thing, and we can have a real party. You really want to, people want to show up in San Ramon. And we'll be talking about I'm sorry to cut you. And we'll be talking about the nonprofit cloud, the new nonprofit cloud, and we'll be doing more. They introduced the new cloud. Salesforce introduced the new non-cloud this year, and they're still developing it. Stephen, I guess you're also the nonprofit ecosystem. We can pull you into. But it's like we're working through that stuff, and a lot of interesting things. At least introduce people to the new nonprofit cloud and that we're working on it. So like Tashiba mentioned, we're doing an open source a project too. So as you go along, you can get a flavor of what nonprofit looks like too.
Reach out to the Washington DC nonprofit group, because they did a presentation a few months ago. I only caught like the last 10 minutes of it, but I'm sure they'd be happy to share their slide decks. So, yeah.
And Stephen, you can fly in over here. We're going to have a holiday party here anyway. You need a change?
Be happy to. Be a bit of fun. But yeah, I'm going back to Australia for Christmas, so I think I'll be away anyway.
What's the next dreaming event you're attending?
I don't know yet. I haven't planned. I've just been thinking about getting back to Australia. But yeah, I think I'll try and go to different dreaming events next year. So maybe I think like Northeast has a streaming event like up in Maine, maybe. So I try and get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jana.
Philadelphia is pretty close, so try to get to Philly dreaming.
Do you have any plans, guys? Anyone? For the next dreaming event? I believe no. All right. I think everybody's digesting all the new information and all right. So Ned, yeah, Laurie's going.
Yeah,
going?
her local.
That's
but-
cool.
Yeah. Washington World Tour, I'll be at as well. Not the New York one. But... All right, I might log off, get ready for bed.
Okay, everybody, good night and have a wonderful time.
Good night.
Look up our YouTube channel if you want to revisit all the concepts. And it was great having you all. Have a great night. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.